So guys, this United States FBI agent, John Guandolo, has come out to explain what Nigeria is going through. This is the reason why the terrorists are not going to give in. I mean, they are not going to stop what they are doing. It is a pure agenda. And they believe they are doing it for Allah. Just take your time and listen for yourself. This is coming from an FBI agent. These are people that have intelligence on what is happening across the world. And he has come out to shock the world. He's speaking from experience, from data, from information that they've gathered, that this is what is happening. It's not just in Nigeria alone. This is an agenda that is set to be fulfilled across the entire world. But you know, they are starting with their soft target. They feel Nigeria, because we have majority of the Islamist sympathizers in government, in power in Nigeria. And they believe it is good they start from such a place. Now, take your time and watch this video to the end. And you are going to be listening to an ex-Muslim, somebody who has actually practiced Islam, coming out to give shocking information. Take your time, watch this video. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Please don't forget to subscribe and turn on the bell notification. Now take a look.
This FBI agent brilliantly break down what Islam really is.
The entire purpose of Islam, according to all Islamic doctrine, is to ensure that there is an Islamic state throughout the entire world called a caliphate, and under that, Sharia or Islamic law is the law of the land. That's it. Islam is no more complicated than that. Islam breaks the entire world into two parts. The Dar al-Islam, where Sharia is the law of the land, and the Dar al-Harb, the house or abode of war, where there is not Sharia as the law of the land. The function of Islam is to eliminate the Dar al-Harb until the entire world is a Dar al-Islam. And the vehicle to do that is called what? Jihad, which in 100% of all published Islamic law is only defined as warfare against non-Muslims.
Do you think Nigeria should become a Sharia nation?
That is my ambition, and that is the ambition of every Muslim in this country.
So let's just put that on the line. And so we're here talking national security issues. We have people here that are running for the office of President of the United States, and we have to begin there. And what I would put forth is that since, and actually prior to, but since 9/11, our entire national security apparatus has been unprofessional in its approach to this war, from the four-star generals to the office of the president to the national security staff to the leaders of DHS when it was created, the FBI, the CIA, and other agencies. Because we have said this has nothing to do with Islam, despite the fact that our warfighting doctrine says when you analyze an enemy, you start with who he says he is and why he's fighting. And 100% of this enemy that we're facing, from the jihadi in Chattanooga to the 9/11 hijackers and everybody before and in between, have all said we're Muslims waging jihad in the cause of Allah in order to impose Islamic law and establish caliphate, period. So that's what it is. And if we look in Islamic law, authoritative Islamic law, the kind you get at mosque bookstores, not at Barnes & Noble, you will see that 100% of them say that jihad is warfare against non-Muslims. And it's total warfare. It's not just guns and bombs. It's psychological warfare. It is political warfare. It's subversion. It is the whole 9 yards. It's total warfare, something that our DOD has not been practicing. I would say you'd have to go back towards Reagan administration and maybe even beyond that. Complete and total war.
This man is exactly right. Islam is at war with the West.
I happened to come across a video of yours where you had done sort of a response to one of my own videos about the current, call it what it is, genocide that's been taking place in Nigeria. And I appreciated that so much. And, you know, when you had reached out, I thought that this had to be God sending you this way, because I've been praying for somebody on the ground to talk to about this. So I want to thank you once again for coming here and joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So I guess where we can start off is who is Stephen? Who are you? How do you describe yourself? What are you into? And what has God been calling you, I guess, into as far as message ministry? Because, you know, you have content and things of that nature. So I really want people to get a sense of who you are.
Thank you very much. I'm a Christian, a Nigerian Christian, who who became a Christian. I wasn't born in a Christian family. I was actually born in a Muslim family.
Wow.
But I was being weighed down by the load of my sin, and I didn't know where to turn to. I did all I could as a Muslim, did all this religious stuff, but I wasn't still free from sin. So in my desperation, I approached a friend of mine. That was many years ago anyway. We were classmates. So I went to him, told him all that I was going through, and to cut the whole story short, so he prayed with me and I became a Christian.
Wow.
That was in my late teenage years. Since then, I have been in the church, but I didn't know much of the deep things in Islam. The deep, just like an average Muslim.
Yeah.
You wouldn't know anything. You were just doing that religion. But the thing that kept me going on was that here is someone that reached down to me and pulled me out of my sin. And I saw that a change happened in my life, which was not there before when I was a Muslim.
Yeah.
So I always came across Muslims that would attack Christianity and try to say there is this contradiction, Trinity is not true. I didn't have any response. But the only thing that I held on to, the only thing that kept me going was that I was a sinner before.
Yeah.
And now that Jesus has saved me, I was like, how come that these people are still saying all this, that whatever be the case, that's their problem. And I continued in church ministry. I had been a chorister. I led choir when I was in my college years. All that kind of thing. We'll go about, preach the gospel, reach out to villages. When I was I'm not sure if you understand this thing that they called NYSC in Nigeria, National Youth Service Corps, NYSC. So it is a mandatory 1-year service for all graduate students. So once you graduate from a college and you are under 30 years old, you are going to serve, we call it service, national service. So you will spend about a year somewhere. You'll be posted to another state apart from your own state. So when I went for that youth service, I still served in the church. I was a kind of pastor to a village church, all that. All that changed about 10 years ago. So I want to get into why I started my YouTube content. That changed 10 years ago when I came across a video by David Wood. He called
that's
it,
right.
yeah. That was my baptism of fire into apologetics. So the title of that video, if you look for it, it's still online. It is Who Killed Muhammad? I got it through a friend. I borrowed a hard disk, a computer hard disk, from a friend of mine, because that is my profession. Computing is my profession. I do some software development. So I borrowed that hard disk, wanted to repair a computer. So I needed to move the content into a storage device. Then after the repairs, I would pull it back. It was in that my friend's hard disk. I do not know. I can't remember what I was looking for. Then I stumbled across this video.
Wow. Hey. Okay. God is going to reach you anyway.
And you know what's funny? My friend got that hard disk, got the content of the hard disk from a Muslim who gave him his own laptop to repair. You get the story. So he moved the content of that client's laptop into his own hard disk, repaired the laptop, moved back the content, but did not delete it from his own hard disk. That was how it got to me. And he did not know that it was there. He didn't know it was there. So when I watched that video for the first time, Who Killed Muhammad, I was dazed because it was so telling. I watched and watched and watched repeatedly to learn that this man called Muhammad actually died by poison in the hand of a Jewish woman. It was amazing. So a lot of questions kept ringing in my heart. Why didn't they tell us this when we were Muslims? Why don't Muslims talk about it? Every Christian talks about how Jesus died. It's not a thing of shame. We're not ashamed.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's foundational. So how come that Muslims are not proud to talk about how Muhammad died? So I started looking I didn't know who David Wood was because he didn't mention his name in that video.
Yeah.
So I started going around on YouTube, trying to locate who is this man. So I was able to match some other videos with the one that I had in my hand. From there, I got to know his name was David Wood. He had a friend called Nabi Qureshi. So from that time, I got hooked. And all of the lies that we were told, everything was just being pulled away. The scales were falling down. And so then some sort of annoyance, some sort of anger. The more I digged deep, the more I found that I was angry. Why all these lies? Why were we not told all these things?
Yeah.
Then I started going into some other Christian contents. Mike Winger, Jay Smith when he was at Speaker's Corner, and many other people. I got to know Frank Turek. I got to know all these people.
Yeah.
So I started looking into the foundations of Christianity and how you can intellectually prove it. Oh, I got blown away.
Hey.
So I felt my own people, whether in the church or in the mosque, they are not aware of these things. Why? That was why I started to make public my content about 2 or 3 years ago. So that's just the summary of.
You went from being a man who couldn't even face a conversation from a non-believer, from a Muslim who was contradicting you, to now it's like you have saturated yourself and you can now stand and really be an apologist for the faith. That is incredible. So, I mean, and again, the story of the computer is going to be a hallmark now. For everybody who's watching right now, this is going to become a part of our lives, that God will make sure that somebody else doesn't delete that content so it gets into your hands.
Yeah.
Nothing will stop God. So, okay. So the question I did have, though, as far as you are making this conversion, you know, you're saved, you're now a believer. Are you outward about it with the people around you? You know, you have Muslims that are in your family still. Are you hush hush? What did that look like for you?
Okay, yeah. I came from a family of five children. I was the firstborn.
Okay.
My parents weren't that religious, but they got very, very crazy when I told them I was going to church.
Wow.
It wasn't funny. At a time, about 2 or 3 teachers had to come together and contribute my tuition fee for a term or 2 because my parents just rejected me. They rejected me. But I persisted by God's grace. I was surrounded by Christians, real Christians, because I attend a, we call it gospel church here. We call it these Pentecostal churches. There are many around. I happened to attend one then. So they surrounded me, didn't allow the persecution to overwhelm. But I got persecuted, seriously persecuted by my parents. So ever since, I've had a lot of Christian friends, We've been moving fine. I've also contributed to a lot of church service here and there. So that is the story.
So I guess you said your parents, it was rejection immediately. Your brothers and sisters, the same thing, or?
See, I was the firstborn. So we were all in high school. We call it secondary school here. And so since I was the firstborn, my siblings couldn't reject me. They didn't even know what was happening. They didn't know. I tried to woo some of them. Now I have 3. I used to have 4. I'll tell you the story of how one of my younger brothers died some months ago.
Wow,
so then I was having 4 brothers and 4 sisters. I tried my best to preach to them and bring them to Christ, but my parents did not allow them. They didn't allow them. And they couldn't face the kind of persecution that I faced. So they just went back. But one of them came to stay with me when I was on campus for about a year or so. And so we would go to church together. We would attend campus fellowship, very vibrant fellowship of brothers and sisters. He wasn't converted then until years later when he became a young man. At that time, he was just a teenager, tried to enroll him in a nearby secondary school so he could also get to school, while I was also a student on campus. So several years later, on his own, completely isolated from family, from everybody, the Spirit of God started dealing with him. He knew that he had to make his ways right with God.
Wow.
But he didn't know how to go about it. He was wondering, is Islam the way? Is Christianity the way? But then the years that he spent with me on campus kept on flooding back on his mind. He compared those years with all the other Muslims. And in his own words, he saw the difference. This is a Christian. This is the only Christian in this family. But I see his life is different from every other person.
Yeah.
So he chose to follow Christ. That was how he got converted. He repented and became a believer himself.
Unbelievable.
He passed away.
So this is the same brother. He was the second oldest?
No, he was the second to the last. The second to the last. So in between me and him, there are two people. So he was the 4th of the 5 children.
And you're saying, so what happened to him?
Wow. He took ill and we didn't know it was liver related. It was already too late before I got to know. As a matter of fact, he died literally in my hands. He died in my house.
So sorry. Wow.
Some 6 months ago or thereabout. It was so heavy on my mind. But I have the joy that I wept for. Even now that I'm saying it, I still feel it. But I have that hope that one day we shall reunite again.
Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Yeah. And that is the promise that Christ has given us.
Yeah.
Of everlasting life. So I can only imagine that this has even fueled you more so, to stand up for the faith, seeing what Christ has done in your own life, and then to see your little brother probably so unseemingly to come to Christ, and then, as they say, changing addresses, right? As a Christian, you don't die, you just you change locations.
Yeah.
So in that, did you see any sort of shift of the people around you? I mean, are any of your other brothers and sisters now in a place where they're adults and they're questioning things more, or is there really a separation, and that's becoming more and more now as Christians and as Muslims? Or
Um, of the 4 siblings that I had, now that one is late, there are 3
Yeah.
remaining.
Yeah.
So one of them, the one following me immediately, is a hardcore Muslim. Yeah, he attended this Quranic school. You know, his own family, everybody is raised as Muslim. His wife has this burqa from head
Yeah.
to toe. So as far as I can remember, the last time that I saw her face
Yeah.
was more than 20 years ago. So you know the kind of level that they operate. But the
Wow.
2 sisters that
Yeah.
we are not at enmity, though. We're not. He's not. At least outwardly, we relate pretty well.
Beautiful. Yeah.
The 2 sisters following him. And this breaks my heart.
Yeah.
Because they are the average Muslim on the street who do not know their left from their right. And yet they have persisted in this way, this Islamic way. I'll call them victims. They are victims. They're victims. I'm praying that one day they will come to see the light of Christ and respond to his love. So we're all getting on fine. Both of my parents are dead now. Both of them are dead. So that's just as far as my family relationships.
Wow. And thank you for sharing that. You know, that is close and intimate, and especially, you know, about your brother and how fresh that is. But again, that gives, you know, anybody out there watching to say, we can hold on to hope. And I think that's something that is more necessary now in these times, you know, which I believe is the final hour in essence for us before meeting back up with our Lord. But can you then tell me, in the last 20 or so years, or I guess I don't even want to insinuate, have things gotten drastically worse for Christians in Nigeria, or do you always remembering it being this level of persecution?
Everything in Nigeria is for the wars by the day. Literally everything. So you can imagine the Christian persecution too, because Nigeria has drifted from a Western kind of nation to a point where Arab and China, they are the new friends of the governments in power. Nigeria used to be an ally of US, of UK. When I was growing up, you would see Western companies taking all kinds of projects in Nigeria. Julius Berger, I think from Germany, if I'm not mistaken, and some other companies. They were the ones, engineers, all kinds of things.
Yeah.
But in successive years, the administrators of Nigeria, who are majorly Muslims, I can count the number of Christians that have ruled Nigeria in the last 20, 30 years. So they have systematically moved Nigeria away from Western influence, particularly in the north. And so that has made the Christian persecution in the north very, very severe, worse than before.
Yeah.
So when I was growing up as a young man, I had just become a Christian. Once in a blue moon, we would hear about these clashes in the north. in Kanu, in Kaduna. But now it's all over the place. It's all over the place. And it's spreading southward too. So to answer your question in a nutshell, it's worse now than before.
Yeah. And why do you think it is that there's been such either an ignorance or an ignoring of it from much of the world as it's ramped up? You know, they talked about it decades ago, a little bit, but now it's so much worse, as you said, on the ground, and yet we hear less and less about it. What do you think that's about?
First of all, I'll put the blame at the doorsteps of the Christian leaders in Nigeria themselves.
Okay.
Because it is this docile, wishy-washy, don't confront, don't make anybody angry kind of preaching that you get. Just concentrate on Christianity and the coming of the Lord. Don't take part in public debates. Don't get involved in politics, all that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So much of the blame I'll put on the Christian leaders. Because if you don't shout about your problem, how do you expect others to know about it?
Absolutely.
So that is the first thing. The second thing is, about 2 weeks ago or thereabout, I saw a content of yours on ideological subversion, where you were reviewing this man's video, Yuri Bezmenov or something like that, a defector KGB. So that thing is real in Nigeria. It's real. So it's not possible to go through Nigeria's educational system and not become completely subdued and unable to raise your voice, stand for yourself. So it's subversion. But then from the side of the West, I'm not the kind of person that will blame others for our own misfortune. So I don't want to blame the West for not waking up to our problem.
Yeah.
I know the West has their own problem. So I don't know. I think it is we Nigerian Christians that have not actually raised our voices. That's how I'm going to put it.
And you pointed out something that is so interesting to me because, when you have a worldview that is landlocked in either the Western civilization or even more so, let's say the United States, you think everybody else lives in these sort of homogenous environments where everybody is the same. So you think, one Christian is like every Christian in Nigeria, not understanding that there too we have the same problem as we have in America or much of the West, where you have most of the church is lukewarm, right? Most of the church is not necessarily focused on the Great Commission, but instead on not offending, as you had stated, right? I thought that was a Western issue. We have liberal churches here where they're so afraid to offend the next person that they won't tell them the truth. And so, I'd like you to go a little deeper into that one there.
Okay. You see, the Nigerian church is fractured. So, and that may also have contributed a lot. The northern part of Nigeria is where the heat of persecution is felt most. The southern part is divided along this Pentecostalism, evangelicalism, and you have the Anglicans, the Methodists kind of doing their own, and the new churches that sprang up I think in the 70s or so. So they are the sort of the revivalist movements. So it is in these churches that you find that members isolate from discussions in the society, debates about politics, confronting issues. It is these movements, these spiritual Pentecostal movements. You see, we have two Christian bodies in Nigeria, the umbrella bodies of Nigeria, the Christians. There is one that is called the Christian Association of Nigeria, CAN. We generally call them CAN here. CAN is broader, and it includes the Anglican, the Baptist, the Methodist, and other churches. Whereas the other one, which is you will see where I'm going with this, the Pentecostal Fellowship of Nigeria, PFN. So that is the body of these other ones that I've just described, the Pentecostal movements, the spiritual church, the born-again movements, the born-again movements. So you find the PFN. PFN is more detached from issues of the society than CAN. So my own church belongs to PFN kind of group. So that is the problem that Nigeria has. No interaction with politics, no interaction with societal issues. You are not supposed to meddle in some issues, just focus on, we go to church a lot. We go to church a lot.
Yeah.
A lot. You can be sure of that. In the South, we go to church a lot.
Yeah.
So then you now have another group of Christians that are the prosperity movement sort of thing. So the motivational speakers, the prosperity preachers, those ones also do their own thing somewhere. So they are all around. That is how the Church of Nigeria is made up of.
Wow.
We try to preach, but you get it.
And do you find that most people fall into which camp? The sort of exclusive or secluded? Are they falling now more into the prosperity where you see these massive gatherings of people trying to get their blessing? What does it look like on the ground?
Yeah. Nigeria is a deeply religious society. Very, very religious. So in the South here, where Christianity is more dominant, so all these groups that I've mentioned, they still have massive followership. Massive. Nearly every group has it. The prosperity preachers started coming up when Nigeria got down the slope of poverty. And so to give people hope, these other ones, they saw the opportunity and they latched onto it. So they have their own followings. They have their own followers too.
So now, getting into what is, you said, mostly been concentrated in the North, but is making its way into the South. I want to have an honest conversation, because here in the West, majoritively, for lack of a better term, there are two stories. One is the mainstream narrative, which is that there is something happening to Christians in Nigeria. That's the mainstream. They don't tell you who, they don't tell you why. It's just, there's some level of persecution. Then there's the story, as far as, I guess, the more new media, more in Christian evangelical circles, etc., or Protestant circles, which is there is a concerted effort to massacre Christians at the hands of jihadists, right? Those are kind of the two existing narratives. And for me, I can only know as far as the information that I get. I pray to have the opportunity to be on the ground with brothers like yourself, but what is actually happening?
You see, there is mainstream media. I don't want to say everywhere, but I can tell you that it exists also in Nigeria. So there is mainstream media. Now, here is the narrative that they always push, which is a false narrative.
Okay.
You find that the jihadists will attack villages upon villages. Usually these villages they are made up of peasant farmers.
Okay.
So they have their farmlands, either inherited from their own ancestors or bought or something of that nature. And then the jihadists who move from the north, from the core north, some of them from Niger. If you see the map of Nigeria, in the northern Nigeria, Nigeria borders Niger in the north. Some of them move from Niger, some of them move from Chad, but they are Muslims. So then they will attack these villages and use their cattle to eat the crops. Deliberately, they will eat these crops. Sometimes there have been reports of yam tuber. So it's not a matter of crops that are in the air, that are just on top of the soil.
Yeah.
Even yam tubers and cassava tubers will be uprooted by these herders and cut in pieces and they'll feed these things to their animals. And they're always armed. Many, many years ago, they used to be armed with small weapons and swords or things like that. Now they have AK-47. You won't believe it, that herders have AK-47, military-grade weapons on them. And we've heard in the past ministers that will defend it. That, well, it's normal for them because they are always going around wilderness in the bush and all that. So that is what is happening. And when these attacks happen, the farmers do their best to, okay, where do you want them to go? Where do you want them to go? So in the process, clashes will break out and these farmers will be massacred. And what you get in the mainstream media is that there is a herder-farmer clash. That's what they push. But majority of these farmers are Christians. They're Christian farmers. Sometimes a few of them could be Muslims. That is why they push back and say, oh, after all, Muslims are also victims. They say that. So that is the point. But in addition to that, there are instances where the attacks have nothing to do with farmers and herders. As bad as that one is, there are instances where villages, churches will be attacked and you don't see traces of animals. So it has nothing to do with animals. It is jihadist movements. Killing upon killing upon killing. It's getting to the south also. It's getting to the south. Because about 2-3 years ago, there was a church in Owo, in Ondo State in Nigeria.
Where is that? North or south?
South.
Okay.
Yeah, particularly in Southwest. During a church service, I think it was on Sunday or so, and they were attacked. More than 100 people, 100 worshippers were killed. Children, women, everybody. So that has nothing to do with
farming.
Cattle. No, nothing.
But the reports about that on the ground were what? What was the story that they had behind that in the mainstream?
Or when it is so obvious that they cannot hide it, then they're going to report it. And they are still very careful not to mention Islam and things like that. So they're going to come up with stories like extremists. You know, that is what they normally say. Extremists, religious, they say religious clashes, religious extremism, things like that. But we know what it is, that it is jihad.
Yeah. Right.
And once that kind of story is reported for some days or a week or two, that is the end. You don't hear about it again until another one happens.
So being somebody who was raised a Muslim, then, you know, finds faith in Christ, has family who is in Islam, etc. And you even spoke of your sisters, because there's this kind of distinction between those who know what the actual religion is about and then those who, you know, call themselves Muslims, but they probably have never really picked up the Quran. For yourself as an apologist, as somebody who probably understands, you know, that religion better than most of those people, what is the disconnect there? Why is it that they can't make the connection between this jihad, you know, and they call it extremism, and to say this is just what Islam is?
See, there is a vast difference between Christianity and Islam.
Yeah.
Anybody who is saying, well, all religions are the same, they don't know what they're talking about. They don't
Absolutely.
know.
Yeah.
In Christianity, when you go to church, the pastor is going to say, okay, here is my text. This is the message. So open your Bible to such and such, so chapter, this verse to this verse. And as the pastor is preaching, everybody is reading along. That does not happen in Islam.
Oh,
All
wow.
through my years of being a Muslim, I cannot remember if at any time I had any imam or sheikh reference the Quran and say, I'm taking my text from so place. So open it and let's read together. It doesn't happen. And up till now, it doesn't happen. So the average Muslim only trusts what the sheikhs and the imams say.
Yeah.
They just trust. But the sheikhs and imams, if you know them, and I know them, they are, you know this concept called taqiyya?
Oh, yes.
Okay, so
you can explain it for our audience, for some of the folks who've never heard that, actually.
Wow. Okay. So there is this concept in Islam that is known as taqiyya, where Allah tells Muslims that it's okay to feign themselves in the face of danger or uncertainty when they're surrounded by enemies, even though the enemy may not be well defined, but you are surrounded by enemies, you feel insecure. So it's all right to feign your religion. It's all right to lie about your intentions, so far you do not mean it in your heart. All right. So that is the concept of taqiyya. And that has been stretched to its limits. So it's also used to defend to protect, I should say, or to cover the real intentions behind Islamic movements of jihad and this and that. So they're going to deny it. And since the average Muslim does not read these things, so all the education about true Islam they get them from Christian apologists. And for some time, they're going to doubt us. They're going to say, no, we're lying. It's not true, and things like that. So that's the disconnect. You have on one hand, some people that know that their religion teaches that.
Yeah.
But they're the leaders, they're the preachers, and they will never tell the followers that is true. So how do you want the followers to believe somebody like me? Even when you show them this is the thing, read it. Somehow they're still not getting it.
And you would say this is what, probably 80% of those who claim to be Muslims?
I would put the number higher than that.
Wow.
I would put the number higher than that.
They're just going with it.
They're just I think it is called is it herder mentality or something like that?
The herd mentality. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. That is it.
Wow. So these imams and the individuals who are in a position of understanding, do you believe from your own observation as well as your own study that their intention is to, I guess, as they're saying here, globalize the intifada? Is their goal to actually push Islam by any means necessary? Or are most of those imams doing it for personal gain, power, recognition? Are they serious jihadists that are going to go into the world and, see many of the things that we see done in the name of Allah? What do you think?
I think they genuinely mean to push Islam by all means necessary. That's what I believe. Because sometimes the veil is lifted a little bit and you are able to see what is behind it.
Yeah.
Before I came to give myself to Christian apologetics, I was somewhere one day across the road facing a mosque. It was in the afternoon. And I'm not sure if you know this, but in Nigeria, 5 times a day, you get so much noise all around you. By 5 a.m., everywhere is agog with call to prayer. Everywhere.
Wow.
And in a little environment, you could have up to 5 mosques, all of them blaring at the same time. That is going to be repeated by 2 o'clock, between 1 and 2 o'clock, then 4 o'clock, then 7 o'clock, then 8 p.m. That of 7 o'clock is not made, it's usually not released through their megaphones or their loudspeakers. So they do that silently. So I was sitting across the road on that day, and somebody was speaking, think about it, in a mosque. And he knew that there were Christians around. He knew that. And he was still telling Muslims that they were not supposed to make friends with Christians. That you should not extend peace to them. That was the exact thing he said.
On the loudspeaker.
Exactly. Don't give them salam.
Wow.
Don't, and I'm not lying. That is the truth. Whenever they're able to do that, they're going to say it publicly. So it was when I heard these things, it was shocking, to be honest, because as a Christian, there is no place for hate in your heart. You know that.
Of course. Yes.
And if you're not familiar with the doctrines of Islam, you'll be wondering, why is this man saying this? Not until I read it in the hadiths. That was when I felt, wow, now I understand. I believe they know it. I believe they know what they're doing.
It's just mind-blowing for me because here you are, you were born in this, and it took you being so far removed from Islam to understand and even get to the hadiths and, and get to know the Quran intimately. You had to be an outsider. Meanwhile, the people who are in it are just blindly following. But then, one of my biggest problems has been that many of the Muslims who claim that those are extremists and it's not them doing all of these things, terror attacks, etc. Why is it that they don't oppose the ones who are? Why is it that they, if we had a Christian movement and they started killing people and doing all sorts of stuff, there would be an uprising to separate ourselves, and to shun that behavior and say, that's not of Christ, that's of a different spirit. Why is there no uprising of these people? Why is there nobody standing up for the Christians on the Muslim side in the same way?
You've asked a very serious question. It's an important question. And that is what everybody needs to be asking. So why is it that the average Muslim, the moderate Muslim, why is it that they don't stand up for Christians? Okay, so here is why. They do not want to appear like they are betraying their faith. They don't want to be They don't want people to see them that they're betraying their faith. Once a while, you find people that are disgusted by this thing. And once it gets to that level, that man or that woman is on his way or her way out of Islam.
Okay.
Once it gets to the level of disgust, they're going to leave. They're going to leave. So, but most of them are just there. I suppose that inwardly, they are convicted. I believe that. Inwardly, they are convicted. They know this thing is not supposed to be.
Yeah.
But see, if a Muslim says that in a Sharia environment, and almost all the northern states in Nigeria, the core north, there's something we call the core north in Nigeria. If you ask about that, I'll explain more. But let me just quickly say this. In the core north, if a Muslim should stand up to defend a Christian, that Muslim will also be killed. I hope you know that is Islam. You must have heard that before.
I mean, you hear about it, but again, it's you can't wrap your mind around it necessarily until it's right in front of you.
Yeah. So in some cases, when you have some mosques burnt down or some Muslims killed alongside Christians, that could explain why.
Wow.
That they didn't get along with the jihadists. So they had to also be part of the collateral damage.
Now you talked about the core north, and you said even Sharia law rules there, and you mean it's legislated Sharia law?
Yes. In
this region,
it is. So Nigeria is divided somehow horizontally into two. So you have the north, you have the south. Although the landmass in the north has been dubiously structured in such a way that it's larger than the landmass in the south. But who cares about that?
Yeah.
So the north is divided into, so the northern landmass is also divided horizontally. So the one in the middle now is called the Middle Belt. You understand? So here is the map of Nigeria, divided this way, south, north. Then the north is also divided along that horizontal line. So that belt of land is called the Middle Belt. That is what is geopolitically referred to as the North Central. So the remaining one at the top is now divided vertically. So you have the west, northwest, and northeast. In northwest and northeast, Islam has consumed everything. Everything there, Islam has consumed. I'm not sure if you heard about Deborah Samuel. Deborah
Samuel.
Yeah.
Who's that?
Okay. So she was a Christian girl in a college of education in northwest Nigeria, Sokoto State. Sokoto State is the seat of jihad power, is the seat of Muslim domination. The Supreme Council, there's a Supreme Council of Islamic Affairs in Nigeria, the Supreme Council for Islamic Affairs. The head, the President General of that council. You know, look at how it sounds, Supreme Council for Islamic Affairs. The head of that council is from that state, Sokoto State. And he is also the Sultan of Sokoto, Sokoto, Sokoto State. He's the Sultan of Sokoto. So he has a sultanate there. This girl was on a campus, and on that campus, she and her mates, they were arguing on WhatsApp because the Muslims were pushing Islamic propaganda on that WhatsApp group, which, by the way, was meant for assignments, tutorials, discussions, academic discussions. But the Muslims would always be posting Muhammad stuff, Islamic stuff. So this girl decided to stand up to them. a young woman. I shouldn't say girl because she was around 22 years of old, 22 or 23 years of age. The Muslims rallied round and beat her to coma on the campus.
These are her peers.
Yeah, her mates. And not only so, then they set her ablaze there on the campus, a college campus, burns her down. The pictures are on the internet. As you're sitting down there, if you Google Deborah Samuel, you're going to see the video. It's on YouTube everywhere. I did a video on it a couple of days back when I was responding to this same man who calls himself the Sultan of Sokoto. That Sultan didn't do anything about the murder of Deborah Samuel. And to make matters worse, on the day the suspects were arraigned in court, more than 30 advocates showed up to defend the murderers. More than 30 to defend the murderers. About a day or two after, the youths in the north, the Muslim youths, they went on rampage, destroying property, setting things ablaze, asking for the release of the murderers that killed Deborah Samuel. And you know what? They were released. No justice till now. They were released. However, in another state, somewhere there, also in the north,
in the northwest,
I think in the northeast, Bauchi State should be in the northeast. A Christian then commented on social media and demanded why this injustice. The state government arrested that Christian and put her in jail for 1.5 years without trial. A woman.
The woman who posted about it spent a year and a half in prison for posting about it.
Exactly.
While
everything is on the internet.
Free.
The murderers are on the streets now. It took the intervention of some activists to get her released. So that is the state of things in Nigeria.
Wow. And so you say this has happened because you said basically the entire, that northern region outside of the belt is now fully jihad territory. You said what nations is it? Is it Niger that you said is atop of that? Like where are they? Are they coming in?
Yeah,
are they being formed there?
They come in from the north. You see, Nigeria. I don't know how much time we have left because there is a lot to talk about. If we cannot, if we can't say everything now, I don't mind.
We'll have a part two. So yeah.
All right.
But we can continue. Yeah.
In the northern part of Nigeria, there is another police structure that is called Hisbah.
Okay.
Different from the national police. This Hisbah, they can actually arrest the national police.
What?
They can. Literal. I'm telling you. So that is to tell you the level of the, what do I call it? And the West is unaware
evil,
of this.
Corruption. So, and this is what I'm saying.
Islamism.
We're looking at it from, it's like we look at, let's say, the UK, whatever it is, and we get it, but we don't really get it. Then we look at New York, right, in the States. And I was like, Mamdani is likely going to be their mayor. And I say, I think the only way we understand is when it's right in front of you, when it's happening, what this looks like. Dearborn, has already been essentially occupied in the same way. And Sharia law is the next logical conclusion for that. And now you're telling me they're appointing sultans? Like, I'm even thinking of just that idea. They have a sultan now in what used to be, I would assume, a democratic nation.
Well,
that's crazy.
If US allows this madness to go on. Oh, don't dream about it. Don't think of it. Do not think of it. In the north, in core north of Nigeria, during Ramadan, the last Ramadan, schools were closed down in 3 to 4 states. Schools, secondary schools, high schools were closed down for 1 month. So when they tell you that, well, you know, Sharia is only for Muslims, it's not going to affect Christians, it's a big fat lie.
Yeah.
So the children of the Christians in those schools, where were they during the lockdown?
Wow.
Apart from that, during Ramadan fast, in the core north, although you are not fasting as a Christian, they will beat the hell out of you if you eat in public. You eat anything in public. Did you get that?
As a non-Muslim, you will
as
be
a non-Muslim,
beat up for... Yep.
You will be beaten. You will thank your stars if you don't get killed in the process. They will beat you. The Hizbah, there is this police that I talk about.
Yeah.
So they will be patrolling the townships, looking for whoever is not abiding by Islamic laws. It doesn't matter if you're a Christian or you're not a Christian. It doesn't. In the North Central, there is a state called Kwara State. It used to be part of the South, but somehow it's now North. They call it North Central, the middle belt that I talked about.
Okay.
In Ilorin, the capital of Kwara State, there is a university there. It's a federal university. Students of that college, they dare not, female in particular, they dare not go to a particular marketplace with their hair uncovered. They will be lashed. They will be beaten. I'm telling you, they will be beaten. A Christian going to a marketplace to buy something, men will get hold of her, lie her down, and beat her. And it goes on. Nobody says anything. The Nigerian government, the state there is not going to say anything.
So guys, to end this session, let's take a look at some of the headlines on the social media. No Christian or Muslim genocide in Nigeria, President Tinubu insists. Tinubu does not even want to speak to Nigerians. Since Trump came, Tinubu has not been able to come out and publicly address Nigerians. He has come out now to say there is nothing like Christian or Muslim. Nobody is talking about Christian-Muslim genocide. We are talking about Christian genocide. Tinubu is denying the insecurity he condemned under Jonathan. Tinubu is denying it. Have you seen? What an irony, because he wants to stay in power. The insecurity Tinubu condemned under Jonathan is what Tinubu is denying today, that there's no Christian genocide. Politics is really making people to lose their senses. Now, let me take you through the reactions of Nigerians after that headline saying Tinubu is saying there's no Christian genocide. Instead of pleading and peacefully negotiating with US, letting them know our plans to stop it, you are still lying, honestly. What they have confirmed by themselves, you should have plan B because they are already on the next stage of the way of dealing with such a concluded investigation. I think this makes sense. Instead of Tinubu to be saying something that makes sense, Tinubu is there just keep denying that there is no Christian genocide. Remind me of our massacre. I mean, men of the underworld. Netawale is being accused, of being the one sponsoring some of these bandits and all that. Also, you have what's his name again? Sheikh Gumi, who is an initiator of all this. So a whole lot is happening in Nigeria. Honestly, this person, my president, this was for 11 years old, openly condemning the slaughter of Christian worshippers at the time when the situation was far less severe than it is today. So what changed? So what changed, Tinubu? So what changed? Very, very shameful that Tinubu is denying Christian genocide in Nigeria. And this person say, the toughest job I've done was being APC spokesperson. You cannot do the job without lying. Bolaji has exposed the Tinubu's government, saying the worst job he ever had, is to defend the APC. And this one, Bishop Coker, genocide is okay. Let me read this one. Bishop Coker said genocide is happening in Nigeria. That was in 2020. And this one, Benue killing. This is genocide, not a distributor of TV tells Tinubu when Tinubu went there. And then you have this one that says Plateau is witnessing genocide. 64 communities forcefully taken over. This coming from Lalong. Ubo, Fulani headsmen have taken over 40% of Benue land. This is sad. So guys, this is really, really so sad. Fulani headsmen have taken 40% of Benue land, and somebody is saying, Tinubu is saying, there is no Christian genocide. A one-time Christian community is now turning out to become Muslim community, and you don't see the Northerners picking up. This is very, very sad. And we all heard about the killings that happened in Adamawa State, after the people were protesting because of insecurity. Guess what? They quickly went there and shot them. The military say it's not them, it's a militia group and all that. Now, this is a Benue governor, say Plateau killing, nothing but sponsored genocide, says Muftuan, that's the governor. He's saying it's a sponsored killing. Plateau killing, not a farmer-header clash, but genocide by terrorists that long. So, guys, this is all the confirmation. Since 1999, every government has its own share of experience with the killing in Plateau State. After the corpses are buried, money is donated to the widows, orphans, and other displaced victims. Then they wait for the next round of the massacre. A state richly endowed and uniquely gifted and graced by nature has been successfully turned into a perennial killing field. Plateau is a paradox of a state blessed with everything and cursed with conflict. The soil of the Plateau can grow any seed, but it must grow the seed with peace first. This is coming from Senator Shehu Sani. Remi Tinubu donates 1 billion to victim of Plateau crisis. These are all evidence that people put together to tell Tinubu that there is Christian genocide happening in Nigeria. Even Tinubu himself tweeted this tweet and said there's a lot of Christian worshippers is strongly condemnable. It calls for question the competence of Jonathan to protect Nigeria. Tinubu only know there is genocide. Assuming he was contesting now, that is when he used to run his campaign, but now he's denying it because he needs to please the Northerners. And this Bola Tinubu is denying Christian genocide in Nigeria because he's directly complicit in it. U.S. committee raises alarm, says Nigeria becoming one of the most dangerous places on earth to follow Christ, honestly. And Tinubu is coming out to say there's nothing like genocide happening in Nigeria. It's really, really so sad to see that Tinubu will openly say this. The same thing he condemned during the time of Jonathan is what he's accepting today. And this person, don't vote for politicians who attack, kill bandits. They are our warriors in the forest. Islamic cleric Shehu tells Northerners, anybody that's going to kill terrorists, don't vote for the person. And this person has a middle belt have been completely abandoned because Islamist terrorists have taken so many residents, while the few who survived were forced to flee to IDP camps just to stay alive. How does a state end up with over 600,000 people, but we have IDPs? Okay, this person is saying that we have IDPs everywhere, honestly. It's a shameful thing that Tinubu is coming to say there's no Christian genocide upon all the IDPs we have in Nigeria. They are not even capturing it in their budget. Federal government makes U-turn, admits Boko Haram targeting Christians. These are some of the evidences that, Tinubu cannot waive. And then this person say, are we back to this argument? A few days ago, they were celebrating a photo ops with the U.S. lawmaker who visited Nigeria. Now that he has dropped his report, we are back to this argument. Tinubu is saying this because the senator who came said what he saw on ground is unbelievable. So guys, and we know that there's this journalist, Jude, he went there himself to hear firsthand from the people. The brain is haram in Islam. Brain is the biggest enemy of Allah because once Muslims use their brain, they will lose faith in Allah and Prophet. I think this makes sense, If the Muslims really think about what they are doing, I think they will change because there's no truth in what they are doing. How can you be told by your Allah to kill others that they are infidels? At this point, Tinubu needs to be arrested for hiding the ongoing genocide against Christians because he is not in support of what is happening due to his religious affiliation with Muslims. President Tinubu government has run out of idea on how to lie. They said before both Christian and Muslim are being killed, just like Nigeria military plan going to Portugal, and before we know it, it's Burkina Faso with 48 hours ultimatum. And this other person here said, saying it is religious, saying it is not religious does not make the religious pattern disappear. It's just rename it. Yes, Nigeria violence is entangled with criminal banditry, insurgency, land pressure, and poverty. But in the real world, motives overlap. When communities are sacked along identity lines, when worshippers are killed in place of worship, and when the farmer herders crisis repeatedly maps onto Muslim Christian democracy in the Middle Belt, religion becomes part of the risk profile, whether Abuja admits it or not. International monitors have documented the violent attack against religious communities have become commonplace, and both and that both Christians and Muslims are victims. Exactly the point. The claim of no genocide cannot be used to downplay the targeted vulnerability recurring communal pattern and the way extremist narrative feeds off identity for fault lines. So this person is actually saying that everybody knows that Christians are being targeted in Nigeria, and it's very sad to see that Tinubu is coming out to see there is nothing like Christian genocide happening in Nigeria. Now, there's also this tweet of a guy who was kidnapped, and he said those that kidnapped him are Hausa Fulanis. Sorry, they are Fulanis, but they were speaking Igbo. So that tells you that some of the northerners who have been born in an Igbo have now turned to become criminals to terrorize the land that once fed them. You can't dare see an Igbo man go to the north and become a terrorist. Instead of doing his business, you now enter the bushes and begin to abduct Kano State residents or Kano State indigenes. So guys, but you can see what is becoming. Now, you came to a country or you came to a state, you were accommodated, your parents were accommodated, they gave birth to you, and now you've grown. Your thank you is to take arm and begin to terrorize the state and the community. I think the Muslims really need to sit down and rethink this, their religion. I mean, they should really sit down and know if this religion is really what's being religion. I mean it at this point, with all what is going on in the world. How can you associate your religion, your God, with killings in the name of anybody who does not believe in him is an infidel and does not deserve to live? I think that should be called to Christian. People should really sit down and look into this Quran of a thing and just try to see if you get a better interpretation, because it stands now, it is not right for us to be killing one another. I mean, for the sake, just for religious reasons, you want to take another person's life. This is unbelievable and this is not acceptable. Let us be a defense to one another. We mustn't destroy one another. Anyway guys, let me know what you think about this in the comment section below. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on the bell notification. Thank you.